Welcome, everyone. Welcome, my tribe, to another episode of the Bulletproof Mindset podcast. And I am beyond excited to be able to introduce and interview a 6'6" gentle giant today. Super excited. So let me give you a quick intro. Dave DesRochers, Vice President. Dave thrives on connecting with people and finding ways to be of service. He leads the business development and sales teams at Path 2. He's also an exceptional public speaker. He shares inspiring lessons from his own life and from Path 2 with students, veterans, community groups, and business leaders. Dave took a winding path to our organization. After lettering in football and basketball at San Diego State University, he played pro football for the Seattle Seahawks, NFL, and Montreal, WLAF. Following a brief stint as an actor, Dave worked his way up from junior financial advisor at Fidelity Federal Bank to branch vice president in just 4 years. He later founded and served as CEO of Fallbrook Investment Services, handling wealth management for individuals, businesses, and pension funds. Today, Dave serves on the board of the California Council of Economic Education and Mission Sports. He also is a mentor for the Hispanic 100 and VP of the NFL Players Association Orange County chapter. And without further ado, I want to welcome
That's it.
Dave.
So can you tell that my PR firm wrote that?
Yes, and I love it. And I love it. Dave, first and foremost, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us today. But before we dive in to our conversation, I want to acknowledge you and I want to kind of shine some light as to why I chose you to be part of the Bulletproof Mindset podcast. I truly believe, and I've been following you for some time and we've been having some conversations, and you have that mindset of service, of giving back, not only to the athletes, but back to the youth, of what you have been through, your adversities, and how you've been able to overcome and use that as a segue to achieve greatness. And it's seriously an honor to have you here today to chat and have that conversation with you today. So welcome.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and it is a good position to be in. And I'll quote Denzel Washington. He says the most selfish thing you can do is to be of service, and it's just because of what it does for you, for yourself, for your inner being, when you're of service to somebody else and helping others. And it's a interesting approach to service, but it's absolutely true. And every opportunity I get to do that, I always walk away with a feeling of that was a good thing, and it puts somebody else in a better position, and that's what it's all about.
I agree. At the end of the day, it's not about us, right? It's about how we can give and help and service other people in
Yep.
order for us to be able to impact, their lives, even with a quick conversation that we might have, or a word that we say, or something we just do to help them out might change their lives some way, somehow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I love to go back and look at someone's upbringing, how they grew up, their background, because it really does say a lot about who we are, how we grew up, and where it has led us into our path, right? So can you take us back into your younger childhood years? How was it like? What was it like for you?
Well, Well, Elizabeth, I was very blessed to have had just a great childhood, a loving family. As you mentioned in the introduction, I'm 6'6". I used to be 6'7", so age of gravity is messing with me a little
Just a
bit,
little
but
bit.
but I'm settling in just fine. 6'6", I get into cars a little easier. But my dad was 6'7". My mother is 6'2". My little brother's bouncing around 6'9", and so we were big in stature, and it was a very loving childhood. And my parents did everything to support my brother and I. And we did family vacations. We had the boat and would go boating in the dune buggies and ATCs, and it was always about the family. Um, so I was very blessed in that respect. My folks, and as you learn when you get older, sacrificed a lot so my brother and I could have. And we weren't, well, some people would say we were spoiled, but we were spoiled to the capacity of a nice high middle income, family. We didn't want for anything, and more importantly, is we didn't want for love. We grew up with hugs, kiss goodnight to both parents. They were home, you know what I mean? So we were very blessed in that respect. It was funny because as I went off to college, and my folks are huggy people, and my roommates, my buddies, my folks come take us out to dinner, and they give them a hug, and my friends are like looking like, okay, I don't know you that well, kind of thing.
Uh, oh, I love that. I grew up too. I have a huge family. 5 sisters, 3 brothers. Imagine a crazy household, typical Mexican household. And I agree with you. Something we always had was just that love,
Right.
resonates with everyone. For your journey on, we have to talk about sports. What led you to sports? Were you always into football? What was that journey for you like?
So, no, I wasn't always into football. I liked football, but I was always, as a young person, too big to play. I would have had to have aged up like two age groups, and so I played soccer. It was my first sport, and then incorporated baseball and basketball. And so my getting back to what my folks did. My brother and I were a couple of years apart, so we both played all sports, and they were all over the place. Dad volunteered, coached, didn't know nothing from soccer, but was there, and um, so growing up, sports were always a big part of our lives. As I got a little bit older and into high school, basketball was the one sport I did better than anything else. Always made the team in baseball, but I wasn't very good. And in football, I was on the team, but once again, not very good. And in basketball, I made it to the final cut for the Olympic development team, and had my junior year a scholarship offer from Cal State LA, which is a small school, but a scholarship offer nonetheless, and had other schools interested. And so I wasn't going to play football my senior year. And we had a new football coach show up, and I remember meeting him on campus, and he looked at me, he goes, "Hey, big guy, you got to play football?" And I said,
Mm.
"No." He said, "Well, why?" And I said, "Well, because I'm not very good, and I have some scholarship offers for basketball, and that's my thing." He said when he asked what the scholarship offer was, and I said Cal State LA. He said, "Well, come play football for me, and I'm pretty sure you can get a better scholarship deal through football." I said, "All right, coach. I'm not good." So I came out, and after about 3 days, he pulls me aside and he goes, "Son, you're not very good." Yeah.
Really?
Hey, hey, thanks, coach. I tried to tell you that. But he said you can be. He goes, you have size, you have athletic ability, but you need to get lighter on your feet. And he handed me a jump rope. And I've told the story a number of times. And the last thing I wanted to do at 17 and uncoordinated was, do what girls do and not be able to do it. And so I didn't do it in front of anybody, but I took it home and learned to jump rope one loop at a time, hitting my toes, cursing, going, "This is dumb." And but eventually got fairly prolific at it, got good at it, and it took some time. And it was funny because I remember coming back to school one day, and he was standing on the track, and I walked up to him with my jump rope, and I said, "Hey, coach, want to jump rope? And knowing that I was doing it pretty good, I just wanted to show him. And what was funny is that when he got his rope, he was doing like one step, like a gallop kind of thing, like, doing it. And he goes, hey, good, good for you. That's impressive. That's a good job. And, on my trail to becoming, into the NFL, did it make me a great football player? No, but it gave me confidence, and that I could do something, and that a man took interest in me enough to want me to be better, and helped me, because on that team, Elizabeth, we had 5 guys go Division I. We had another buddy of mine. There's 2 of us that made it to the NFL. So he didn't need me on that team. I mean, we were good. But he saw I was struggling, and he said, this is something that can help you. And the reason I like sharing that story too is because I share it to young folks, is that when you have a coach or a teacher or parent, uncle, somebody that says, you should try this, and you look at it and say, why? That's dumb. They're not giving it to you so you could fail or to make you look stupid. They're giving it to you, or they're advising you on something because they care about you and they believe it can help you. And if I have a second, the one step further to this story is this, is that he was right. I got scholarship offers to Cal. I was talking to U of A, Hawaii, Cal State dual scholarship for basketball and football, but I chose San Diego State. And when I got to San Diego State, about the second or third day, there's 5 freshman offensive linemen. The offensive line coach walked up to us, and what do you think he handed us?
The jump rope.
The jump rope.
Whoa.
The jump rope. And those guys looked at it like I did a year and a half earlier, like, what the heck am I going to do with this thing? And I went right to, to doing it well, because I had continued doing it. It was a great workout. And, and the point I make is that, what do you think happened immediately when that offensive line coach handed that to all 5 of us, and the 4 other guys couldn't do it, and I could? It immediately just for that purpose just set me here,
Yeah.
And I remember him telling the other coaches about, hey, look at this big kid. He's got pretty good feet. He's able to do this. What did that do? To set me, once again, I mean, it's just a little thing like that. And you never know when that one bit of advice or input is going to come back and pay off, and it does. And so you have to pay attention to that and be open to it and be coachable.
It's such a great lesson, because, and it goes for everything, right? That the work that we put in on the side, although we don't want to do it, although it seems tedious, and then we're tired, it really is going to set the tone for later on in the future. They gave you that jump rope. Your first coach gave you that jump rope, and you had a choice. You had a decision to say, screw this. I'm not going to do the jump rope. What for? I'm not the greatest at football. I'm dumb. Like, jump ropes are for girls, right? But what you did was you continued,
right?
And you were disciplined, and that took it along to where you were, and it set you apart from everybody because you put in the work. So although we don't want to do something, I think we should always practice the weaknesses in order to become stronger. And you were an example of that.
That's right.
I think that's,
Well, and the was is that, I didn't just do it half measured either. Is I mean, then I started watching like boxers do it. I'm like, oh, they're doing like tricks. I'm like, okay, how do you do that? And so then I started doing them.
Yeah.
And so I didn't just jump rope. I'm doing it better than defensive backs. So once again, for me, it was just a confidence thing, something that I took pride in doing. And I'll tell you, Elizabeth, one other carryover then. Okay, so that's fine with sport, because but in business, it's the same mentality. When I first became a junior rep, thank you for reading that nice bio, and I became a vice president of the bank. Well, I started as a junior rep, and my job was to get a phone book. And so you know what a phone book is?
Oh yeah, we
Oh,
used to
okay,
do
well,
those. Like,
well,
what are you
okay. I
looking
always
for?
have to ask.
I
Yeah, it
remember.
was a
I got you.
you're young. So it was a huge book with phone numbers in it. We didn't
Yeah.
have these other things. And my job was to call or dial at least 30 people
Oh wow.
and then speak to 10 and then set 2 appointments for my senior advisor. That was my job.
Okay.
Talk to a bunch of strangers, convince them to come talk to us about their money. And it was just not. So instead of doing that, what I did was I called 100 people. I spoke to 50 and I set 5 appointments a day.
Wow.
Okay. Getting back to the jump rope. What do you think happened immediately? My senior advisor thought I was the greatest thing ever. He told all his buddies that were senior advisors. They all wanted me to work for him, even in the bigger branches. Management found out, and then they asked me to do presentations to the other junior advisors on how to make cold calls and how to be successful at it. Within 4 months, I had my own branch, and within 4 years, I was a vice president.
Wow.
So, but but you still took continued work, but to walk in and not do what's expected, to do more than that's expected, do
Yes.
it better than is expected, and do it quicker, more better, quicker. But if you excel, you're gonna excel.
Yeah.
So it was just a carryover to what I learned in sport.
It's doing more than what is required.
That's it, always.
Doing more of what is required, because again, that sets the tone for everything else in life, and that carried on to later on in the future for you, right? I've
That's
been
right.
working with a couple of high school students. I'm mentoring them right now for a 12-week program, and something I said to them was, you're only going to be a teenager or a kid for a short amount of time, but you're going to be an adult for the rest of your life.
Yep.
Ain't that the truth?
Yep.
It's so
Indeed.
true. And the decisions and choices that we make right now can affect the future. So why not make the good choice to be able to elevate into a next level? Even if you are 13, 14, 15 years old, that's going to carry on to just like what you were talking about.
Right.
I want to go back to a little bit on, because you do work with young adults as well. You do work with the athletes, kids and whatnot. On Did you ever feel, because with the working with sports, peer pressure, social pressure to perform better? Was there anything like that you felt like, man, I have to perform, I have to do this? And the reason why I say that too, I have my daughters who play soccer. My oldest daughter, she's been playing since she was like 6 years old, right? And I can only imagine the pressure that they might feel, or when she feels when she's out there on the field, like, I have to perform, I have to be good, I have to do this, right? Or I have to win, I have to get a goal. Has there ever been anything like that?
Well, it is, and as you progress from high school then to college when you're on scholarship, and then of course to the NFL, those pressures incrementally grow, and it's because it becomes more of a business. Then there's that expectation, and when you're a person my size, then they look at you and they expect certain things that you should be able to do these, to be able to do this or do that. And when you're younger, you're still growing into your body, and I couldn't do a push-up or a pull-up, and I didn't run well
Yeah.
because I was growing. And so that was difficult, because my little buddies, they were 5'9" and hit their growth spurt, at 12, were running all over the place, and doing all kinds of great things. And they all said, man, if I was as tall as you, I'd be doing this. And I said, no, you'd be as uncoordinated as me, because I was still figuring it out.
Uh-huh.
But but then coming to once you get to the San Diego State, let's say for instance, and I'm on scholarship, yeah, you're getting paid to be there. They're paying for your education, your food, your room and board, all of these things, and so there's an expectation. And then as you get to the point where you earn a starting position,
Mm.
well, yeah, you've got to perform or you're out. And I've shared this story a number of times. So my junior year, we're playing against BYU,
Mm-hmm.
and I had just taken over the starting position, and I walked to the line of scrimmage, and I was playing against a guy. His name is Sean Knight, and I looked up, So when I'm 6'7",
I was like, wait a
and
minute.
yeah, I don't look up
Uh,
at hardly ever, especially not on the football field. And because he was at BYU, that's a Mormon university, he had been on a mission, so he's like 30 years old or whatever. His neck is sticking out of his helmet, had a beard, and he really was just kicking my butt, for 4 series, and I knew it wasn't going well. Well, the fifth series, I go to run onto the field, and my coach grabs me by the collar and he goes, son, he goes, look, you're embarrassing me, you're embarrassing your parents, and you're embarrassing yourself. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I knew it was going bad, but he goes, sit this series out and you decide if you want to play.
right.
So, yeah, if you're not performing, you get yanked. And so I sat there and I said, yeah, I deserve to be out there. That's what I've been working on for all these years, but I can't very well go back out there doing the same thing and expect a different result. So here's I mean, I'm on the sideline. I'm going, okay, I've got a series to figure it out because I'm going to go back in that next series. What am I going to do different? I changed things up. I ended up getting lineman of the game. And so to take that learning experience of failure, assessing, and pivoting, and changing up everything I'm doing to give myself a chance to succeed, and then succeeding, it was a tremendous lesson.
Yeah. I feel like that's what being an athlete, in your case, playing football, that no matter what, even if we lose a game, you have to go back, look at the footage, and then you have to go back to the field and play.
Yep.
You can't just quit. You have to show up. And that's just like life.
Yep.
We're going to get knocked down, but you have to go back and play that game, that life game. Like no matter what, you just have to. What did sports teach
Yeah.
you in life? And how did that carry on?
There's actually been a lot of lessons in sports. So the ones that I've already shared about how to attain, at that highest level in anything, how to persevere when failing and pivoting, the rewards of setting goals, and working hard to do whatever it takes to get there. But there's been so many other lessons. So, for instance, the guard I played next to at San Diego State, uh, during the week, we just didn't get along. We actually would get in fights. That's how much we just didn't get along. But come Saturday night, we had a goal. We had to win a game. We had to figure it out and put our personal things aside to give our team the best chance to win. Because if we didn't, one of us would be on the sideline.
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing with work. I had coaches I did not get along with. I had coaches that coached by ridicule and just being just yelling, and I don't do well with that.
Yeah.
But I had to figure out how to adapt to that if I wanted a chance to play, And so you kind of figure out, okay, what does he really need? What is my boss really needing when you don't play or you get a new job? So there's just a lot of things that sports will teach, if you're listening. So that's another thing that I like to, when I speak to young people, is point out, because it's hard as a young person to know, that, oh my gosh, this person really cares about me. And we've all heard it.
Yeah.
If your coach isn't talking to you, that's when you need to be concerned, because that means they don't care. They're not trying.
That is so true, that it does carry on what you've learned out there in the field, that sometimes you're not going to get along with people, and that's okay. But at the end of the day, we have one goal, one mission, is to team together and get a win or play the best that we can. And same thing at work. We might have a manager, supervisor that we don't get along with very well, but there's a goal and a mission, and we have to team up and do what we have to do. Co-work is all that good stuff, right? And I think it's just shifting that mindset, getting out of our own ways and working together to better either a company, better ourselves, or whatever it is, on that. But I want to touch base a little bit on, you work a lot with kids, and you're working now, you're doing with Path 2. What led you to that mission, that purpose? What led you there, and
Well,
why?
just like a lot of things in my life, wasn't a direct path, but how I got involved with Path 2 was we were sitting around at Christmas and I was speaking with Dr. Richard Ellison. I call him Dick. But Dr. Ellison had written a book and had some successful businesses in the environmental solutions space, and a brilliant man. And I had shared with him, okay, NFL, I became an actor, I got a SAG card. I went into construction and got a general contractor's license. And then I went into financial services for 20 years and attained all my licenses and had my own company and vice president and so forth. He goes, wow, he goes, and I don't have a degree. I went to San Diego State, but I didn't graduate. So he was very intrigued that I was able to do all these things, but at a really highest level. And he goes, you know what? I put together this program because I was writing a book and I found all these statistics about high school kids entering into college and then the collegiate experience not being all that it was expected to be. And, the 70% of kids graduating with $35,000 in debt. 50% of them graduating with a degree don't use it. They take a job that doesn't even require a degree. We can go on and on with all the statistics that kids are going into college and spend all this money and not getting the benefit of it.
Yes.
And he said, I think I found a solution to that. Would you be interested in taking my program? And I did. And we started, it was really with an Excel spreadsheet, a piece of paper and a pen, and I went through his process, and it took me like 3 days because it's an extensive process. It's not. This is a solution to the algorithm, black box, personality. Answer 40 questions. Here's 550 careers, and you have no idea how they derive this information. I'll tell you what. Take 3-4 different ones, you'll get 3 to 4 different results. Take the same one twice, and you'll get 2 different results. So. This one, it was a process. And when I got done with it, I said, Dick, this is a lot more than helping high school kids determine a career so they can define a major, so they can get through school and have a positive collegiate experience. I said, this is helping junior college kids that are taking junior college courses, trying to figure out their life. This is kids about to graduate in college with a degree they've just come to terms with. They have no idea what they're going to do with it. Yeah. And then I said, beyond the whole collegiate thing, professional athletes, when I got released from Seattle, I didn't have an exit strategy. I went to selling cars because I bought some from a guy, and he goes, hey, come sell cars for me. I was like, okay, I'm not doing nothing. I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. And then I said, and gosh, if we can help veterans transition from service to civilian life, because there's not really anything out there. And then we started delving into how many people transition jobs every year. It's like 40 to 60 million every year because either they're laid off or they just change. And then the 70% of people that hate their jobs. So I said, Dick, this is more than just that. And he goes, oh my gosh, he goes, I've never been so excited about my own program. You come help me with this. And I said, sure. And so in what is, it just seems like 3 short years, almost 4 years, we are a complete software online process.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Self-discovery that narrows it down to your top 2 careers based on all of your intrinsic characteristics. We have the entire database of the U.S. Department of Labor's ONET, which is all job descriptions, how much income, how much education, and what's their growth projections. I mean, is there going to be a job? If you're going to do all this work, is there going to be a job when you graduate? Is there going to be a job for a number of years when you transition so you don't have to do this again? There's so many factors that we use that get a young person and even older folks that are stuck in a job. They made the bad decision once, and that's why they're there, So we give them these tools that they can learn about themselves first, and then secondly, access to all jobs. And we have people leaving our program with, we had one kid completely change, he was at Chico State, changed his major to Geographical Information Systems. It's GIS.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, who knows about that? You don't.
I was like, oh, wow.
You're not 20 years old at Chico State and Googling GIS. But because we exposed him to it through our process, because of all of his interests, preferences, traits, all those personality, aptitude, all those things, it resonated. And as he learned more about it, he's like, yes, yes, yes. And so the cool thing about our program is that when you're done, those top 2, you know exactly why they're there. Because you put them there. Because you put them there. They fit all of your criteria through our entire process. And the ones that aren't there, or you know why they're not there. So, like I said, when I take the black box ones and I'm looking at them like, well, when I was that age, I know I wanted to be an architect. That's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Yes,
So,
negative.
but yeah, and it didn't work out. So, but if I took one of those and it wasn't in there, I'd say, well, this is dumb. I'm going to do it anyways. Well, in our program, is if architect isn't there, it's because you've already looked at it and it didn't fit,
Yeah.
right? So there's no like what ifs. It's very empowering. You can either affirm what you're thinking or completely change. Like, oh my gosh, I kind of thought I could do that, but it's in my DNA. Now I can go after it with full confidence.
And I think that's so important because the average college student changes their major 3 times. I was one of them.
Yes.
Yeah. I am not doing anything
Hey,
with my bachelor's.
you're one of our statistics. Yeah,
I am one of your statistics.
I will tell you, 70% change it once and 30%, 33% change it 2 times or more. 33%. And that's why and then that's where you start tacking on years.
Yeah.
Those additional years are where the student loan debt increases incrementally because you didn't budget for it, you didn't plan for it, the scholarship didn't pay for it, all of those things. And then one begets the other, and then you're underwater. And
It's so true.
that first payment's due in 6 months, right? You've graduated. Now, oh, I can't find nothing. I can't find nothing. I'll go to Best Buy. And
Yeah.
then you're there.
You have a degree, you spend all this money on college, and you're like, now
Well,
what do I do? It is so
Yep.
true.
Yeah.
It is
So
so true.
we're providing a solution to that. And that goes back to my overall thing. We were talking about being of service and having purpose driven purpose driven life is the book everyone's aware of, but it is living in purpose, and it fulfills that for sure, because we've seen so many success stories going through our program and where it has changed people's life. And I've had moms and a mother in tears thanking us. So many great stories, so it's fun to be a part of.
Yeah. What is actually, give me, or for the young adults listening to us right now, whether it be athletes or just students, what is something to help them, a few tips to help them in that mindset, that shift? It all begins in the mind, right?
Yeah.
And how were you able to shift your mindset? What can you help our
Well,
students listening today?
yeah. Here's something that I learned in as a sales tool, but now has become kind of like a mantra for me, and that is, in any situation that you're presented, like when we met at the golf tournament, or we were talking about helping kids, or I get together with anybody, that meeting, you can enter that meeting with a purpose mindset or an agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. And the agenda is all about you. It's about me. What am I going to get out of this meeting? Why am I here? And what am I going to walk away from, walk away with? And in a sales type scenario, what I share is, if you look across from somebody, all you see is a dollar sign on their head,
Yeah.
you've already lost. Because you know what, if you're good at what you do, you might get that dollar, you might get that sale. But then it's a transaction, and that transaction will resonate because you really don't have any vested interest in the person. You got the sale, you got their money, you got the benefit where you were to fill your agenda, and then you'll never talk to them again. They'll feel sold, and no one likes to be sold.
Yeah.
And they're not going to tell any of their friends or family about you. Now, if you walk into it with a purpose, what can I do for you? How
Yes.
can I add value to what you're doing, and build a relationship? And then in that relationship, gosh, you know what? Eventually you might actually do business with that person, or
Yeah.
you may not. But you've then added value and created that relationship that person is going to say, you know what? I spoke to Dave and he was really cool, and he didn't try to sell me nothing, but he really seems to know what he's doing. And then you'll be helping their friends and their family. Now, and if you do business with that person, they're going to be a client or a customer for life,
We'll be loyal.
because it's a relationship driven, purpose driven venture. And I have a quick story, it really hits it on the head. I was sitting across from a young couple, and they brought their baby in, and it was the daughter, the mom said, my dad said we need to come in here and open a college account for our child. So okay, good. And they go, we want to start with $100 a month. And so my first advice was, no, start with 25. Because if you start with 100 and then one month it gets tight, Christmas, something happens where you can't afford the 100, you're not going to reduce it. You're just going to stop it. And then likely it's not going to start back up, anytime soon. So I said, start with 25 that you know is affordable. And if it's comfortable, increase it. You get a raise, increase it as it's comfortable. And then I went into then all the investment options, and I'm educating them. That's my job.
Yeah.
And that's the value I'm providing to them, right? And we got done, and they said thank you. And a few weeks later, I'm not sure the time frame of how long it was, but inevitably, Dad came up to my desk, and he said, "Look, I talked to my daughter, and I just want to thank you for the time you spent." He goes, "I was impressed with the fact that you talked them out of money." And that was sound advice. And I saw the recommendation you made. She said you spent a lot of time. He goes, "I know you didn't make any money doing that." And I said, "No, but that's my job, and I love doing it. I love educating people." And then we set up a second meeting. The check he gave me was for $800. I ended up investing over $2 million because I established a relationship with his daughter, and I filled a purpose. And and believe me, and then it went from there. And so that's the important thing. You never know how it's going to pay off, whether it's going to pay off, but purpose over agenda is the best way to approach your life.
Yes. Yep. Purpose over agenda. And the fact that he went over to you and wanted you to look over his things because you had already done this trust thing with his daughter. Because you could have been like, no, yes, all right, $100, pay it, and then good to go. But you actually took the time to educate them.
Yeah. Sign here.
Doing. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And I agree with you on that one. It's not the agenda, it's the purpose and serving and coming into something and saying, what are you doing and how can I help you and service you today?
Yep.
And not expecting anything in return, because I think so many people out there do that. All right, what can I get from him? What can I get from her? All right, cool. Great. We got it. Sweet. Peace. Right. Instead of
exactly.
It's true. So
and you're not building anything, you're not building anything at all.
No. And at the end,
it's like, it talks about epiphanies, and my thought on epiphanies, it's God recognizing you have no clue what you're doing and giving you a 30-second, like, no, young man, this is what I mean. And then poof, it takes it away. And then you think you figured it out and had an epiphany, but no, it's God helping you get you on track. But my epiphany of thinking that way has led me to, gosh, and this, but I met you at that one golf tournament. I'm helping the Hispanic 100 with a golf tournament. I'm bringing in my community of NFL players, and we're getting Hall of Fame guys and other people involved within it to help this mentor platform that's bringing value to kids. And I'm not doing it. I'm volunteering, but we're bringing in then vendors that are giving them exposure to their small business, and now we're going to give them access to celebrities. And it's just, if you don't get excited about that kind of a life and building a community of people that just are like-minded and helping each other out, that's what life is about, is lifting each other up and trying to help everybody else. You're not in competition with anybody.
I agree. I think, and I even tell the younger, youth, the kids, that who you surround yourself with is huge. They're either going to elevate you and continue helping you and you help them succeed, or they're just going to drag you down. Right. Those energy vampire suckers, as we call them, right? And I think you're spot on to that. Surround yourself with those people that are like-minded, that have that purpose driven to help and service, and get to those locations and places together to help other people.
Yeah. But what I don't want to get lost in the message is that it's okay to want to be successful.
Yes.
It's okay.
I agree.
It's okay. But but there's ways to get there. And what I've found is it's a more sustainable way of getting there.
Yeah, I agree. Net worth, what is that? Your network is your net worth.
Your network. Yeah.
Network, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us today. Again, before we end, give us 3 tips that that our tribe, our people listening here can implement soon. 3 tips on finding your purpose or changing that perspective, that mindset. 3 things that have helped you in your journey with, overcoming adversities and all that stuff, and
Okay.
to finding your greatness.
Well, so okay, so you put a number on it, so I'll do my best.
No, give me
And
4.
yeah,
Give me
hey,
4.
I know, but I'm old, and you should see these helmets. They have scars all over them. I've had a lot of concussions. I'm hanging on by a
Those
thread here, but
concussions, huh?
so the one tip would be is to quote Kobe Bryant, and that's find your 4 a.m.
Ooh,
Find that thing that you can get up every day at 4 a.m. and not even need an alarm. You probably need an alarm, but that you don't hit snooze. You just get up and go. Find that thing, that passion that is going to drive you, and then have that passion to make it successful. The other thing is a lot of people will look for people that are motivated.
mhm.
I think more than motivation, you need discipline,
Ooh,
because motivation, believe me, there are days I am less than motivated, but if I'm disciplined, I'm going to do it anyways. And
yes.
so, and that's one thing I like sharing with people coming from the service. They have a trait that a lot of people don't have, and that's discipline to do what they need to do every single day
No matter what.
to have a successful day, you know? And so, discipline over motivation. Motivation is great, but be disciplined. And, I think the one other aspect, especially for those of us that are older, and to use another quote from Denzel Washington, is each one teach one. And so I've seen this even with kids, and that is seniors on a high school team helping a freshman kid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you've got someone, if you've learned something, if you're a person in an area that's been successful, is to reach back, not necessarily down, reach back and bring somebody with you. Teach them that path. That's your legacy. And you know what I found by doing that is that every time I do that, is that I go, oh, because I'm teaching the young person on how I got there, is that I forgot I did that,
That's so
and I reincorporated it into what I'm doing. Oh my gosh, I haven't done that for years, because I'm teaching somebody how I got to that place. And you know what it helps? It helps you then to be more successful. It helps you to be more consistent. So I think those are 3 areas. I don't know if that answered your question, but 3 areas that I've encouraged people to think about in their everyday lives, and just love and respect each other. We don't have to believe the same thing. I have a lot of friends that don't believe what I believe, but I love and respect them,
yes.
and I think I'm hoping we're learning that through all of this, because this is really bad right now. And I've never seen so much hate. And I think we're just learning that, we can, because there's so much information, right, Elizabeth? I mean, we
So
can say
much.
whatever we want, so many different formats, and we're not used to seeing all these people's opinions. And okay, like, let them be. That's not your lens. You have your lens on how you see things, and they have a different lens. So just love and respect them. Let them have their opinion. If they're good people, they're good people. Love them.
Yeah, I agree with you 100. And we have that on social media. I
Yeah,
mean, TV, music, the
yeah.
platforms sometimes are not used in a good positive way, right? So
Yep.
let's fill our brains or minds with a good positive way. And you heard it from Dave, find your 4 a.m. That means find your purpose. Be disciplined, even if you don't feel like it. You have to create those habits to continue moving forward and help someone else, because it keeps you humble and pushing on forward. Be kind, be loving to others, and be respectful. Again, thank you for joining us. One last question for you.
Uh-oh.
what is your definition of a bulletproof mindset, of a bulletproof mental toughness mind? What is your definition?
Believe in yourself. It was just, if you are hitting on all these factors that I've shared, is what I do. And it's hard. It's hard for a lot of folks because that self-doubt, as soon as self-doubt creeps in, you're done. Self-doubt kills more dreams than failure ever does. Failure is just the next step to getting there. But self-doubt just wipes things out, So believe in yourself. Find that 4 a.m. Carry yourself in the right way. Walk in faith and believe in yourself. Just keep going. Just persevere.
Yeah. GPS, God, purpose, service. Boom.
That's it.
Yes.
Bulletproof.
Bulletproof, baby. Dave just said.
That's it.
If our listeners want to link up with you and stay connected, where can they find you?
Well, so our company is www.path2.net. And if you are an Elizabeth fan and you follow her, Mindset 50, we'll get you $50 off our program. We'll honor that to whomever you pass it along to. We don't care. And we just want to support the Mindset podcast. And so, and then through that, I'm the vice president and partner. I'm everywhere on that page. Reach out to me, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. I'd be happy to talk to any schools. I'm not going to bore you with all the things I have going, but we're doing a book signing for a anti-bullying book that I endorsed, and I love speaking to young people about being good people. So if there's something opportunity, whether it be virtual, I do a lot of virtual things. I'm happy to contribute my time and be of service.
I love it. Thank you so much. And I will also put all that information on the notes down there so we can link up with you. Again, my tribe, if no one has told you that you are a badass, you're kicking ass at life, we are telling you that you are. Remember, make sure that you're feeding the good wolf up here in that mindset. Your life, you're the CEO, go out there and take it. Dave, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Truly honored to have you here today.
That was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.